2000, 27-year-old right-winger Trent McCleary of the Montreal Canadiens dropped low to block a shot during a game against the Philadelphia Flyers. He had done it countless times before, yet this one was different, since the puck didn't slam into his shin pads or gloves, but rocketed directly deep into his throat. McCleary instantly clutched his neck as he turned blue and struggled to breathe in front of a horrified crowd. The medical team rushed onto the ice and performed an emergency tracheotomy right there at rinkside, slicing into his neck with whatever tools they had on hand to create an airway. Moments later, they raced him by ambulance to Montreal General Hospital, his life hanging by a thread. The diagnosis was devastating: a shattered larynx and a collapsed lung. And although multiple surgeries followed, McCleary's hockey career was sadly over. Yet at least he survived, because the victims in the next 9 shocking sport-related accidents never even got the chance. But first, as always, viewer discretion is advised. On November 8, 2019, 20-year-old gymnast Melanie Coleman entered New Era Gymnastics in Hamden, Connecticut, for what should have been just another training session. Nursing student at Southern Connecticut. The routine required a release followed by a double back dismount, a difficult stunt, yet well within her skill level. But as Melanie swung through the air, her grip suddenly slipped. She rotated once, then twice, and instead of landing safely, she crashed neck first right into the ground. Emergency calls were placed within seconds as coaches rushed to stabilize her head and neck. Melanie was immediately transported to Yale New Haven Hospital, where doctors worked tirelessly to repair the catastrophic spinal cord injury she had sustained. For 2 days, they fought to save her. But, unfortunately, on November 10, 2019, Melanie Coleman was pronounced dead, surrounded by devastated family and teammates. At her funeral, classmates and fellow athletes remembered Melanie as vibrant, selfless, and full of life. In her memory, Melanie's mother, Susan Coleman, shared words that resonated with everyone who heard them. She was and will continue to be our light and love. We're going to leave an empty space in our photos of her. It's terrifying how a single slip can turn into a life-ending tragedy in just seconds. And the next case was no different, except this time, the fatal blow came from the crushing weight of pure steel. On February 18, 2025, inside a modest training gym in Bikaner, Rajasthan, India, 17-year-old Yashtika Acharya was preparing for yet another brutal session. Unlike everyone else in the gym that day, Yashtika was a rising star in Indian powerlifting, already a gold medalist at the National Bench Press Championship and one of the youngest champions in her weight class. That morning, she loaded the squat rack with 270 kilograms, more than triple her own. Before anyone could react, 270 kilograms of iron slipped from her shoulders and came crashing straight down on her neck. The coach and gym goers rushed to free her from beneath the bar and frantically called for an ambulance. But by the time she arrived at the hospital, it was, unfortunately, too late. The devastating force had instantly snapped her neck, and Yashtika was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. The next case features another world-class athlete whose daring stunt was designed to thrill an arena, but instead left thousands watching in horror. On May 23, 1999, the Kemper Arena in Kansas City, Missouri was packed to the rafters with over Owen Hart, a 34-year-old Canadian wrestler star and member of the legendary Hart family, was performing under his masked blue blazer persona. That night, the gimmick called for him to descend dramatically from the arena's rafters, suspended by a harness, a parody of superhero entrances popular in rival wrestling promotions at the time. But just moments before his descent, Owen decided to adjust his costume, and suddenly, the release mechanism designed for the stunt triggered prematurely. In an instant, the harness disengaged, and Owen Hart plummeted 24 meters straight down. Witnesses recall him shouting, "Look out!" as he fell, narrowly missing a ring announcer below. Then his chest slammed against the top rope and turnbuckle with devastating force, snapping his body backward before he collapsed motionless onto the mat. But the excitement quickly turned to horrified silence as the medics sprinted into the ring. Emergency crews swarmed him, performing CPR as cameras abruptly cut away from the scene. Within minutes, Owen was rushed to Truman Medical Center, but at 8:12 p.m., he succumbed to catastrophic internal bleeding from a torn aorta sustained upon impact with the ropes. Perhaps most shocking of all, the show continued mere moments later. Matches carried on even as Owen's blood still stained the ring. In the aftermath, his widow, Martha Hart, filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the WWF, citing that Owen himself had expressed discomfort about the stunt during rehearsals. The case eventually settled for $18 million, and Martha later founded the Owen Hart Foundation in his memory. The next tragedy was no less horrifying, only this time it unfolded out on open water during what should have been a serene surf session. But despite every effort, Javiera Ortiz was pronounced dead en route. In the days that followed, the fisherman was briefly arrested but later released because Rinconada Beach is a shared car before the flames grew worse. The first driver to reach them, Hans Joachim Stuck, swerved violently and somehow avoided a collision. But Tom Price was following directly behind Stuck at full racing speed, nearly 270 kilometers per hour, and with zero visibility ahead due to the slope of the track, he simply had no time to react. In an instant, Price's Shadow DN8 struck Van Vuren at full force. The impact killed the young marshal instantly, his body thrown aside with devastating violence. But unfortunately, the tragedy didn't end there. At one point, the fire extinguisher Van Vuren had been carrying was launched upward by the collision, and, in a cruel twist of fate, slammed directly into Price's helmet with such force that it tore it clean off. The blow was instantly fatal, decapitating him in front of thousands of spectators and live television cameras. At the same time, Price's car, now driverless, continued down the straight, scraping barriers and colliding with Jacques Lafitte's Ligier, before finally coming to a stop in a twisted heap. Trackside, medics rushed in, but neither Price nor Van Vuren could be saved. And tragically, between 8,000 and 15,000 of them proved fatal. Meanwhile, these 10 chilling cases we covered today are part of that grim statistic, and a sobering reminder of just how dangerous sports can truly be. Now,